seed, but Russ's performance last night is exactly what I've been saying about him for years. That's what you get in 50% of Russell Westbrook playoff games. That's what he is. Go look it up. Colin, he was 6 for 18. His playoff career three-point percentage is 29%. 39% from the field since he left KD. Last night is what he is in the playoffs. He's 32, playing basketball since probably 7, 8 years old, maybe younger. He's been playing 25 years. He's got no feel for the game. He's got no feel for the game. I mean, if he was a sports car, he would never downshift. If he was a NASCAR driver, he'd hit every third wall. There's an old saying in football, like, live for another down. Like Phillip Rivers, and I loved him, but Phillip Rivers, like, didn't understand that. Like, understand the moment, live for another down. Phillip didn't get it. Russell doesn't get it. I mean, but since KD left, Russell Westbrook, folks, he's played 25 playoff games. He's won 7. He averages 5 turnovers a game. He shoots 39% from twos. That includes layups and dunks, and 29% on threes. It's Charlie Brown kicking the football. You guys are always like, well, I mean, he didn't play well last night. This is what he is. This is what he is in the playoffs. It's the same thing. He has no feel for the game. And it really is an advertisement for athleticism has its limitations. You can be incredibly athletic. Michael Jordan, LeBron. But Michael Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe had a great feel for the game. They understood the moment. I mean, look, Michael's the classic example of turn it on, turn it off, step into it, lean out of it. Westbrook's got none of it. So when I hear, well, Westbrook didn't play well last night. No, this is about 50% of his playoff games are 5 turnovers, a bunch of meaningless rebounds. He can't hit a three-pointer, and he shoots under 40% on, like, twos. That's what he is. I mean, it'd be like saying, Phillip Rivers threw 2 interceptions and had a brutal interception late. Yeah, that's pretty much Phillip Rivers' career. You can't tell me, I cannot believe Phillip Rivers threw a pick late in a big game. Well, that's on you, because that's like half of his big games. He threw a pick, and you'd be like, Phillip, what are you doing? You started for like 10, 12 years. So people say, you're anti-Westbrook. We've gotten to a point, the media is so soft that if you're honest about players, you're mean. That's what Westbrook's playoff games look like, 1 out of 2. Now, he will light it up at some point in the postseason if they remain. And by the way, the fanboys will race to social media to remind me, but that really wasn't a terrible Westbrook game. It was about half of what you see in the postseason. He's played 25 since he's left KD. He's won 7. That's it. Let me defend Brad Stevens. And I don't know. I mean, we know he's a good coach. Is he a great coach? How many great coaches does the NBA have? I mean, Popovich was great. Kerr seems great. I think Spoelstra's really great. But Popovich was great. Kerr seems great. I think Spoelstra's really great. But a lot of good in the NBA, not a lot of great. Phil Jackson was great. Doc Rivers is good. Is he great? I don't know. But we ask our basketball coaches to do a lot more than our football coaches. We're very unfair to basketball coaches. We ask them to do things that we don't ask football coaches to do. And I'll give you an example. So we think of the Celtics as well-run. I mean, this is a profound organization. 15 first-round picks, many of them high picks. They've hit on 2. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They have hit on 2. And Jason Tatum's a lot better than Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's good, but he's inconsistent. He's not as consistently great as Jason Tatum. So Brad Stevens, this is what, year 7, 8 in the rebuild, and they feel like they're a mile from an NBA championship. You see, in the NFL draft, you get 23-year-old men. They've played college football minimum 3, mostly 4, often 5 years. Mostly from big programs. They're well coached, training tables, elite staff. Ohio State, Bama, Clemson, Oklahoma. These kids are ready to play. So I understand accumulating draft picks in the NFL. Like, I get that. In the NBA, you get a 19-year-old, sometimes from high school, overseas, G League, or briefly, 1 year of college basketball. Meaning he is not physically close to playing, and frankly, who at 19 is ready to play in a professional league? I wouldn't have been. I was pulling fire extinguishers in high school hallways. Give me a break. In the NBA, we want our coaches to be developers. The hell? You don't have 4 years to develop people. You get fired. I mean, Boston is an organization without chaos. Danny Ainge's been there a long time. Brad Stevens a long time. It took Jaylen Brown, one of the 15 first-round picks that worked, 4 years to pop. Can you imagine Urban Meyer having to wait for 4 years until Trevor Lawrence could go 25 of 32 with 3 touchdowns and no picks? He'd be out of job. He'd be fired. We ask our NBA coaches to be 48% coach, 12% babysitter, 36% developer of talent. We don't ask our NFL coaches that. You hire an NFL coach, you go draft. I mean, what you'll see with a lot of NFL general managers, they like drafting players from Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, the big dogs. Why? Because those are like NFL training tables in college, NFL facilities, NFL weight programs. I mean, those kids are ready to play when they get there. Coach doesn't have to babysit them. These NBA kids can't even drink at the bar. They can't drink at the bar at the Ritz-Carlton they stay in. And by the way, 15 first-round picks Brad Stevens has had to deal with, all of them, and 2 have made it. But that's a big ask. That is a big ask for these coaches. I'm watching last night. The minute Jason Tatum is off the floor, Boston is painfully untalented. Marcus Smart's one of their best players. He can't shoot. They're painfully untalented. So I just think, we ask NBA coaches to do things we do not ask NFL coaches to do. 15 draft picks, most of them great first-round picks high, hit on 2. But we've asked Brad Stevens, you got to develop them. I mean, you wonder why it's a turnstile in the NBA for coaches. We're asking them to do things we don't ask football coaches to do. I mean, good God, even the way the contracts are set up. You could cut Tom Brady tomorrow. You just have a cap hit. You can cut anybody anytime you want. So in the NBA, you got to make sure you get along with a star. I mean, Brad Stevens, great coach. Flaky Kyrie comes in. It doesn't work. I mean, Kyrie bailed on LeBron. He thinks the earth is flat. He doesn't work with Brad Stevens. Do we blame Kyrie? No, we blame Brad Stevens. In the NFL, at least the coach is like, Antonio Brown's a little off. We blame him. In the NBA, Brad Stevens wins everywhere, has a bad year with Kyrie. Kyrie has a history of just taking sabbaticals midseason, and we're like, it's Kyrie's great. Brad Stevens can't coach. We are tough on NBA coaches. And I'm watching Boston last night. You couldn't take Jason Tatum off the floor. It was like a bad YMCA afternoon. So I don't think either of these teams are championship teams, but before we got everybody run out of town, take a deep breath. I mean, I was telling my staff this morning, is on my staff here, this is nobody's first job. Joy Taylor had done radio in Miami for years, and she was on another show at a network, and then Joy comes in. And my staff, people have worked in New York, L.A. We used to have a writer for Kimmel, The Onion. It's nobody's first job. If I was an NBA coach, I'd have a staff. That's my first job. Oh, can you go down? No, I can't go. I can't even walk through the bar at the hotel. I mean, but the show would be, it'd be a mess. Forget content. I'd be teaching people how to do a show. Brad Stevens is literally spending his time throughout the last 7 years teaching people